Noah St. John, welcome to the Keto Camp
It's a
podcast.
pleasure to be here, Ben.
I was telling you before we hit record, I've been a huge fan of your work for many years. I think it was probably 2013 or
Oh,
14
wow.
that I got one of your
Oh,
books, actually the one behind you on
yeah.
affirmations. And I'm like, I've been doing affirmations, but what the heck is an
Forward.
affirmation? And you are the father
Yes, I am.
of
See?
affirmations. And I can't wait to dive deep into this topic. And I know for the audience that's listening and watching, this is a little bit of a different avenue that away from like keto and fasting and all that. However, 90% plus of your success on keto or health and life in general is what we're going to be talking about today. So please pay attention and take notes and listen to it over and over and over again. And I can't wait to nerd out with you, Noah. But before we get into all the cool things we're going to talk about and the mind and paradigm and all that, your story is very inspiring, really relatable. I'd love for you to go back to your 24, 25-year-old self and what was going on
Yeah.
back there with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to go too far back, but I'll just give you the very condensed version here. But I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. Now, I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. Now, Ben, I'm sure you've heard this, and probably everybody listening and watching this program has heard. Speakers get on stage, motivational speakers, whatever, and they get on stage and they say, "Well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor." Well, my family, we freaking knew we were poor. Okay, because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy, it sucked. And so, from a very young age, I hated that life of poverty and fear, lack, not enoughness. That's what I grew up with. But I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So I said, how the heck do I get from here to there? Right. And so, as you mentioned, I'm known as the father of Afformations and the mental health coach to the stars. I'm also known as the nerdiest nerd in the personal growth industry, the Sheldon Cooper of self-help, if you will. And so, as a nerd, I did, the only thing that we nerds love to do, or the things we love to do best, which is read books. So I went to the library, started reading books just to get out of that poverty. Like, how the heck do I become successful in life? So I went to the library, read every book I could on success, self-help, personal growth, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, all the classics, right? And I really, really tried to get them to work, but for some reason, I couldn't get them to work. And they all said basically the same thing, and say these affirmations and think positive, they say the same thing basically. And so, but I really, really tried to put them to work, but I just couldn't get it to work. And so at the age of 25, after long, long years reading all these books, studying, working really hard, not getting anywhere, not seeing any success, at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide. I decided to take my own life because I was so depressed. My girlfriend at the time had just left me. She slept with her dance teacher, and it was like one thing after another. It's like a bad movie. Anyway, and
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what, I'm just done. And anyway, long story short, I do share that book or story in my books and stuff. But anyway, at the very last moment, my life was spared. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why I was still here on the earth. I knew that I must be here for some reason, but I'm like, I don't know why. What is my purpose here on the earth? I have no idea. So I went on another long journey, right? This more of an inner journey, right? The first one was more trying to, create outer success, which I was not successful at. And then I said, okay, I've got to go inside and who am I? Why am I here? These existential questions, right? And so I read books and went back to the library, read all these books by like our spiritual thinkers of our time, Ernest Holmes, Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, all the spiritual thinkers of our time. Well, then fast forward 5 years later after that, and then I had two epiphanies in 1997, over 25 years ago now. Can't believe that. But anyway, that really not only changed my life, but gave me my purpose, made me understand, aha, this is why I'm here, to share what I discovered, through all of these years of pain and torture and torment and agony and all these, studying and reading and everything. And just, I really realized several distinctions, that no one else was talking about, that really made me understand what was missing, what was missing in the personal development world. And so I decided to start my own company back then in 1997. I was living in a 300 square foot basement apartment. I had $800 to my name and a book on HTML. That's all I had. I had no marketing, sales, business acumen, no experience. I didn't know anything about, the only funnel I'd ever seen was a funnel cake, so there was nothing back then like we have today. Of course, there was no YouTube, right? No social media, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it was a long time ago. Basically, it was just me and Al Gore back then. That was it. Anyway, anyway, so anyway, I started with nothing, and just a vision, a desire to help people, to make a difference. I know again, it sounds corny, but that's all it was. And I self-published a book, which is called Permission to Succeed. Jack Canfield actually discovered me back in 1998, and he loved my work. He
Wow.
sent it to the Chicken Soup publisher, Chicken Soup for the Soul,
Wow.
and he told them, you got to publish Noah's book. I mean, he literally said that to him. And, that's how I got my first publishing deal. And now, 18 books later, if you can see, some of these books that I've published, and these are some of my other books in other languages, or 18 languages now. So
Cool.
it's been, and what's really nice is not only have we helped our clients literally add over $2 billion, meaning helping people add 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures to their business. We've also helped people in health, in relationships, to lose weight. I mean, literally lose thousands of pounds collectively, and also save marriages. We've helped kids with their self-esteem, get better grades. So what's so awesome is to see, the people that this work has affected and helped and transformed really over the last quarter century. And that's why I'm very privileged to get to do the work that I get to do every day.
Yeah, and that's 25 years you've been at
Yes.
it, which is impressive. I mean, in 1997 when you started, I was just a teenager. No, I was 13 years old
Yeah.
back then. I love it. And Jack Canfield, what a great person
Yes.
to discover your work and endorse you. I know he's written like the foreword
That's
for
right.
one of your
That's
books,
right.
and I also have several of your books
Oh,
behind me and
thank
on
you.
Audible. I remember as I was really getting into self development in 2013, like obsessing over it. Like your books
Oh,
were on there on my Audible and also reading it.
wow.
And it's interesting because you say that the affirmations and this, the Think and Grow Rich, and these are great, I think, amazing books. But you're right. I would read those books and I got a lot from
Mhm.
it, but many of my friends would read it and they're still doing the same
Mm.
thing. They still have the bad behaviors and they're not getting more income, they're not getting healthier, but I'm getting those things. So obviously it worked for me, but why doesn't it work for so many people out there?
Well, that's a really, really great point. And so, people talk to me, call me, I talk to people all the time every day, and they hire me as a coach or as a keynote speaker for events and things like that. And people say that, to me, that they go, well, no, I've got all these problems. I'm putting out content, no one's seeing it. I'm creating lead magnets, nobody wants them. I'm creating these courses and nobody's buying them. I have shiny object syndrome, right? I have so many distractions, and every day I get bombarded with emails from marketers, and they say, this is the magic pill, and this is the solution, and I'm excited, but I'm also skeptical, and just they say they have all these different issues and problems, and I say, okay, time out. I hear you, I get it, but I want you to know you don't have 10 problems. You don't even have 20 problems or 50 problems, however many problems you think you have. You really don't have that many problems. You only have one problem. One problem. There's the finger. One. You only have one problem. And they go, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I say, well, all those things you just talked about, are symptoms. They're like up here, right? They're symptoms.
Mm,
Now, I'm not saying you don't have those symptoms. I'm not saying they're not important or, that you're not feeling that pain. But it's kind of like having a toothache, right? So when you have a toothache, what do you have? Well, my tooth hurts, right? And that's pain. But what is that? That's a symptom. That's not the problem. That's a symptom. And so what happens is, imagine if you have, pain in your tooth and all you do is take a bunch of pain pills, right? Pain reliever pills, whatever, Tylenol or aspirin or ibuprofen or whatever, right? You're trying to dull the pain. Well, that's fine and well and good, but you haven't even addressed the actual problem that's causing the pain,
yeah.
right? And so they go, oh, well, I never thought of that. I say, well, yeah, that's why I do what I do. Anyway, so you have one problem. And they go, well, what's my problem? And then I say, it comes down to this one thing that nobody else is really talking about. And it's what I have been teaching for the last 25 years. And it is what I call head trash. Head trash. Now, that's a funny phrase, right? But But let me explain what I mean. All right. So I want you to think about, whatever your problems might be for everybody watching this and listening to the program, and if it's in terms of health, weight loss, or relationships, or money, or your business, or your career, or whatever it might be, right? So you have all these different problems, issues, etc. Right? Well, what's so funny about that is that when you look at the symptoms, which is pain, right? That's what symptoms mean. It means it hurts. Can you help me? I don't like being in pain, right? I think probably everybody watching and listening to the program knows that we humans are designed to avoid pain and gain pleasure, right? We go away from pain, we go towards pleasure, right? So I don't like pain; it hurts, right? So please fix my pain. That's fine, but see, you're still working at the symptoms. And so the problem is actually this thing that I named head trash. Head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because dot, dot, dot. And then you just fill in the blank. So think about it for everybody watching and listening. What is it you want? This is where we always start with my coaching clients. What do you want? And they, well, I want more money. Okay, here's $5. Go away. No, that's not good enough, right? It's no. You got to get a lot more clear than that, right? If
Yeah.
you want more money, well, how much more? If you want to lose weight, how much? By when? Why? Right? And anyway, so we go through all this whole process. But then the point becomes, so think about that goal, right? Your vision, your goal, whatever it is, as your destination, right? So I like to call that your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I also like to call it your NDR. Now, NDR stands for your new desired reality, right? Remember, I just talked about you want to go towards that. You're going towards it. I want that. NDR, new desired reality. Well, guess what? Right now, I'm in my CPR. What does that mean? It means your current perceived reality. It means all of us are in our CPR. We perceive our reality to be what it is. So we think we have the limitations we have, the resources we have or don't have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to go, everybody wants to go from our CPR to our NDR, but between their CPR and NDR, there's a gap. And what is that gap? For 99% of people on this planet, it's head trash. That means I want that, Noah, but I don't think I can get it. You know what? I don't think I can do that because I'm too old. I can't do it because I don't have the money. I can't do it because I don't have the time, because I'm too busy, because of my kids, because of my spouse, because of my job, because of where I live, because I didn't go to the right college, because I'm married, because I'm divorced, because I'm a Martian. I mean, I've heard it all, and that's the thing. And isn't it so funny? And Ben, I know you've seen this, and probably everybody can relate to this, is that we hold on to our excuses like we're holding on to a lifeboat. I mean, we will
So
just
true.
grab those excuses and never let go. Why? Because it's designed to keep us safe. That's what these excuses do. It keeps us safe because everything you desire, I want everybody listening to write this down. Everything you desire is on the other side of fear. Everything. You're saying, but no, that doesn't make sense. I just want to lose some weight. How could I be afraid? Really? Have you met humans? Oh, I want to make more money. What could I be afraid of? I mean, this is very deep, Ben. So I don't know where you want me to go here, but we could really go on this. But I mean, let's face it, this is what I've been teaching for 25 years and written 18 books on. So, but this is the point. Again, I just want to reiterate that head trash is, in fact, the one problem that's causing all your other problems. Again, I'm not saying those problems aren't there, but they're just symptoms. And see, what's happening is everybody's up here at the symptom level. And if you're up here at the symptom level, again, you keep taking pain pills. How's that toothache going? It's only going to get worse. And that's exactly what happens when you only treat the symptoms. What happens? The symptoms come back, but only worse. So when you treat the one thing, or I should say, fix the one thing that causes every other problem. In fact, one of my coaching clients, you'll get a kick out of this. He said to me years ago, one of my very first coaching clients, he said, Noah, do you realize that your coaching is the only coaching that fixes every other coaching? I said, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, I never thought of that. I'm glad it came from you and me. I didn't say it. He said it, I was like, but yeah, that's true. I'll give you another quick example. I had a client recently, very recently, say to me, or I was talking to him and I said, we're talking about this very topic, right? Head trash. And I explained it to him. He's like, wow, I never thought of that. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much do you think your head trash is costing you right now? Now, without batting an eye, just asked him that question without batting an eye. He instantly said $1 million. If I don't take out my head trash, that's going to cost me $1 million this year. I said, okay, well, guess what? I tell you what, why don't you just give me 10% of that $1 million and I will get you that $1 million back. In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, yeah. So he paid me $100,000. And we've already more than doubled his money in less than 12 weeks. So That's a
Wow.
money example, I know, but I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I want people to really realize that this head trash, whether you know it or not, and most people don't, is affecting you at so many levels, not just, money, but also health, relationships. I mean, think about it this way. I'll stop talking after this point because I know I haven't let you say anything for a while. I apologize, but I want you. This is one of the things that, as I mentioned, as a keynote speaker, I get to speak all over the world. Conferences, small workshops, and private workshops, and big multinational conferences of thousands of people. One of the things I like to ask my audience members is, what is one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And here's what people do. They go, and I go, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you, right? So guess what? There's no place where your head trash isn't affected. Now, that's not to say you have head trash and everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, but you need to look at each area of your life, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, well-being, peace of mind, stress, whatever it might be, and say, wait a minute, am I holding myself back in any of these areas, and why? And then, of course, we take steps to take out that trash.
Oh yeah, I love this, and we're going to talk about steps to take out the trash. I want to unpack what you just said for those who are not keeping up. This is amazing information. So, NDR,
Yes.
the new desired
Yes.
reality, your what Earl Nightingale called your worthy ideal, your goal,
right.
whether it's to lose 50 pounds or to earn 50K in a month or whatever it is, that new desired reality. Right. Then we have the CPR,
right,
which is your current perceived reality, and this is where the head trash comes into play. It's your limitations, your self-limiting beliefs and thoughts, the paradigm that we have built throughout our life. And you're so right in many, many ways with this, because the symptoms versus the root cause. And this is a perfect example of like allopathic medicine treating symptoms versus alternative medicine getting to the root cause. And when you take care of the cause, the symptoms go away. So if you're overweight, it's a symptom. It's not, you don't have a weight problem, you have a weight symptom. And it's very similar to what you're saying here. And head trash. I remember Zig Ziglar, he called it stinking thinking, right? Head trash. And you have these thoughts. And here's what I see, Noah. People have a condition, whether it's a health condition or a symptom, and they don't do the work to get well because they like to hold on to having that health condition, meaning they're so used to telling their friends they have this condition and here's their medication. And it's a comfort zone. You said it, like people hold on to their problems because it's comfortable. All right. So how do we break out of that? And why isn't it as simple as just doing affirmations each day?
Well, all right. Do you want me to dive into affirmations now? Because we can certainly go there. Because
because that's a big part of the head trash, right?
Well, like, of taking it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Taking it out is what I mean.
And so, okay, all right. So let's back up a little bit. All right. So everybody listening to this program, watching, knows what an affirmation is, right? The old way, right? The old way that we've been taught for decades, the gurus, right? Every book says the same thing. Use these affirmations, put them in a positive, put a lot of energy, blah, 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 blah. We've heard this a million times, right? And so, those are all the books that I was reading, that what I shared with you. And so, I was doing everything they said. I wrote in a positive, but I had Post-it notes everywhere. I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. Meanwhile, the reality was, no, I'm not. I'm broke, unhappy, and miserable. So what the heck is going on around here, right? What aren't they telling us? Right. And so this was one of my epiphanies in April 1997, 25 plus years ago. And, in my books and in my programs, I call it the shower that changed everything, because that's what I was. I was in the shower, and when I had this epiphany that changed my life. I'm sure everybody, watching, listening to the program has had that aha moment in the shower, right? Well, you got to pay attention to those, because, you never know. One of those might change your life. It certainly did for me, and has for, over 1 million people now as a result of my work now. So, all right. So we all know what an affirmation is. In fact, at my keynote speeches and presentations, workshops and seminars, one of the things I like to do also with my audience members is I have everybody stand up, whether it's live or virtual. I say, everybody, we're going to do an affirmation just like those guys taught us. And everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everybody starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they say, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. Aha, isn't that the problem with the old method, right? We say these positive statements, right? And the guru said, well, just repeat it 1,000 million billion gajillion times until you believe it. And, for some people that worked fine, but for most of us, it didn't. In fact, ironically, a study was done recently that showed that 75% of people, get this, 75% of people that use the old affirmations method actually end up more frustrated than before. So imagine if you had a smartphone that didn't work 75% of the time. What would you do? Would you keep using that phone? No, you'd probably trade it in for something better, wouldn't you? So I invented a better smartphone, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so that's the old way, right? The old affirmation way. And like I said, for some people it worked fine. For most of us, not so much. So I was in the shower, April 1997. And I said, "What aren't they telling us? What are they leaving out? This is just bugging me so much." I mean, it had been for years, right? And so on this particular morning, I said, okay, well, let's back up. What are we talking about? We're talking about beliefs, right? Because if you want to change your life, if you want to change your life, you got to change your beliefs, right? So I knew they had that right, at least. They got that part right. So then I said, okay, but what is a belief? Well, a belief is just a thought. And then I said, okay, well, what is thought? And when I asked that question, what is human thought? I realized that human thought is the process of asking and searching for answers to questions, not statements, but questions. Let me prove it to you. In fact, I can prove it to you right now. All right, so I'm going to do another exercise I like to do at my events, virtual and seminars and things like that, which is, all right, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to see what happens. Why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Now, Ben, since we're talking, I mean, normally I ask my audience members, but since it's you and me talking, so what just happened when I asked you that question? Why is the sky blue?
Well, I pictured the sky. I don't know the specific answer, but I pictured the sky with my imagination, and I just know that it is.
Right. But so what happened really was you started to search for the answer to the question, right? Because
Correct,
I asked the question. Literally, I asked you a question. Your brain immediately went into search mode. All right. So it's exactly like if you ever looked on your computer for a file, right? A file find or a Google search even, right? We do probably dozens of Google searches a day, most of us, right? And so what are you doing? You're asking a question. And your brain is like Google. Your brain is a search engine. Your brain's like a computer, right? So literally, when I ask a question, your brain is searching its files. The sky is blue because I don't know, but it's looking, right? In fact, you can't not do it. You can't help it. You can't not do it. And so I said, now wait a second. Okay, so the human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions. Then why are we going around making statements we don't believe? Why don't we just cut out the middleman? And I said, well, what would that look like? Well, let's see. You got this statement or affirmation, I am rich, which your brain goes, yeah, right. Right. In my books and my programs, I actually call it the yeah, right response, because that's what your brain goes, yeah, right. We don't believe it. So then I said, okay, if that's a statement, then what would the question be? And then I said, why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? Now, when you ask that question, what immediately starts to happen in your brain? You start to search for the answer. Yeah. Right now, so what I'm teaching, what I teach in my books and my programs, my coaching, is the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, this is nothing new. It's been taught for centuries. But what are we sowing? We're sowing seeds of thought. And yet, what are most humans doing? Sowing lousy thought seeds. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why isn't my diet or exercise program working? Why can't I make more money? Why can't I get more patients or clients or customers in my business? Why can't I get a date on Friday night? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? Right? And when you ask lousy questions, what do you get? Lousy answers. Right.
And lousy results.
That's right. Yeah. And that creates a lousy life. So I said, wait a second. What if instead of asking lousy questions that lead to lousy answers create a lousy life? What if we just flip the whole thing on its head, start asking empowering questions that lead to phenomenal answers and create a wonderful life? And as I was standing there in the shower, I said, holy cow, I think I just invented something. And so I had to give it a name. And the name that I gave it was, as you can see right there, this is a little clearer to see, but it's Afformations. Is that backwards? Oh, well,
No, it's clear.
Okay, well, anyway, Afformations. And by the way, everybody, listening and watching could go to AFFORMATIONS, Afformations.com, and you can learn more about my Afformations method. And so that's literally how I invented it. So what are Afformations then, as opposed to affirmation? So an affirmation, of course, as we all know, is a statement of something you want to be true. But now you know, because now you've heard me say it, that The human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions. So an affirmation then is an empowering question that is formed in a very specific manner so that you start to focus on what you have versus what you lack. Most human beings, by far, the majority, are focused on what they don't have, what they lack. Well, when you focus on lack, what do you get more of?
More
More
lack,
lack,
universal
more of
law.
the experience of lack, of not enough, of I don't have, or I'm not enough, which is my very first newsletter 25 years ago was entitled "You Are Enough." What's so funny is now everybody's talking about "You Are Enough." I'm like, yeah, I was thinking that 25 years ago. We got it. Anyway, but my point is that that's what most people think, and it is because, and this is what people don't get. This is because of or people have just never heard this. They've never been exposed to this awareness, right? That it's because of what is being formed in your brain. That's how I invented the word affirmations, right? The word affirmations, the old word, comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, the word affirmations that I invented, and by the way, it's perfectly legitimate to invent a new word, right? When you have a new way of looking at the universe or new technology, isn't it true? We often need a new word, right? Like
Yeah.
Google, Facebook, YouTube, computer, software, internet. These are all very, I mean, these words have only been around a very, very, very short time in terms of human history, a teeny little amount of time, right? But now, of course, we use them every day. Well, it's a new technology. We needed a new word. Well, what I teach, and, my books, my courses, my coaching is a new technology of the mind. So hence affirmations comes from the Latin word formare, which is spelled Formare, formare. So you can see that's where affirmations come from, which means to form or give shape to. So what I often ask my audience members at my events or my coaching clients is, what if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That means you form the life you didn't even want.
Yeah.
Why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Why am I so stupid? Why can't I do anything right? Why am I so broke? Why don't I have any money? You formed it, not on purpose, right? Nobody does this on purpose, but it doesn't matter because of the law of sowing and reaping. You're sowing those thought seeds, and the universe goes, okay, there you go. You sowed it. What do you want from me? Right? The universe doesn't care what we sow. And so
That's right.
this is my big message. This is why, our mission is to raise the consciousness of humanity one question at a time, because I want people to realize you have the power. You have the power. Google can't decide what questions it asks. So you're more powerful than Google. You can decide. You can decide what you ask, but until you hear that, you don't know that. And so here's me telling you. So yes, you have the power. And anyway, it's pretty exciting to see people's lives change.
Yeah, no, I love it, and it's such a practical tool. And we're going to get into like your the core
Yes.
formula that's going to be so great for the audience to
Yes.
hear. But let me ask you this practical question and how to actually use this, right? So let's say somebody's in the habit of using affirmations. They say throughout the day in their head, and this is me. I do this all the time. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am loved. I love myself. What you're saying here is if I switch that to why am I healthy? Why am I loved? Why am I wealthy? But should I just go from affirmation to affirmation, or should I pause and reflect and answer that question? What's the best way to do that?
Yes, well, that goes to my 4 A's of my affirmations method. This hand is not showing up for some reason. There it is, 4 A's. So 4 A's of my affirmations method. So the first A is to ask yourself what you want, meaning what is your pot of gold? The second A is to affirm that what you want is already true, like you were saying. Why am I so happy? Why am I so healthy? Right? You're affirming it. You're forming it. Affirming it. Right? The third A is to accept. That's an A. Accept the truth of your new questions. That means you want to use my core 4 formula, which we'll talk about in a second, meaning you're literally just, it's really like exercising your brain. I mean, it's not like, it is. You're exercising your brain. You're creating new neural pathways. That's exactly what you are doing. And then the fourth A, and this is one that you must do that people try to not do, and that is to act. You must take action, right? In other words, I can't say, why do I have six-pack abs? And meanwhile, I'm sitting on the couch eating junk food, never exercising. That is not going to work on planet Earth. Maybe there's a planet that works on, but it's not the Earth. like all those guys in The Secret that say, just think about money and it just pours in from the sky. Where? Really? Where? I'll move there tomorrow. Where do you go?
Yeah.
Hello?
The action part is the action part is,
You
is,
know?
is critical
Yes,
here.
just sit there, think about money, and it just really does it now. Really, what planet are you on? Let's go. I'll move there tomorrow. Give me a anyway. Sorry, I get a little worked up, but yeah, no, we have to take action. It's that annoying thing that none of us want to do, right? We have to take the action in order to get the result. I mean, it's exactly like I just said. I mean, that's why, in fact, I use that analogy all the time because exercise people can understand that. Oh, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
six-pack abs, sit on the couch and never exercise. How's that going to work for you? So no, we must take action. I mean, whether it's health, wealth, money, business, career, relationships, I mean, anything, we must take the actions in order to get the results.
So let's do an
Yes.
example. Somebody listening, a woman, 47 years old, and she's 80 pounds overweight. She has type 2 diabetes, and she wants to reverse her diabetes, and she wants to lose 80 pounds. How can she use the 4 A's of affirmation process?
I actually have an example of exactly that. Actually, this client that I'm thinking of, she was over 200 pounds overweight. And she had been told since she was a child, I mean, it's a true story, that she was obese and she, was always going to be fat. That's what she had been told since she was a kid. So think about the head
Genetic.
trash. Think
Yeah.
about that, right? So she, of course, she believed it, right? I mean, she never had anyone else tell her anything but that. So for everyone listening and watching, I mean, think about what you are telling yourself happened and maybe what you have been told. Maybe you were told, you're going to be fat your whole life or whatever. This is very common and it's so awful. It's sad. It's terrible, right? Anyway, so she, she was well over 450 pounds, when she hired me as a coach. And so, no, I don't just do money. I mean, I do help people with health and weight loss, et cetera. Anyway, so, I showed her, taught her my Afformations method like we're doing right now. And so I just told her to affirm. The big one for most people is, why am I so healthy? Because that covers a lot. Now, of course, you can drill down and, why was I able to lose 80 pounds so easily? That's a really nice one. Again, put in whatever number you want, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever. Right. So why was I, but like I said, I love, and by the way, we have something called Afformwear, which is our official Afformwear, apparel, t-shirts, hats, mugs, socks. And that's what we call our core 4 Afformations, which is, why am I so healthy? Why am I so happy? Why am I so abundant? And why am I enough? Going back to enough, right? So that's at affirmwear.com. You can check all that out. But anyway, so that's what I told her. I said, just affirm, why am I so happy? Or excuse me, why am I so healthy? And why is it so easy for me to lose weight? Just that. Now, of course, she had to take the actions, but see, think about this for everyone. I want you to think about this. Imagine you're working your heart out, right? You're exercising, you're on your keto diet, right? You're whatever diet you're on, paleo, keto, whatever it might be, right? And you're exercising, but meanwhile, you're pounding up against your own head, which says, I'll never lose the weight. I'm always going to be fat. How do you think that's going to go? Right? Mm-hmm. So as you stated earlier, Ben, I mean, look, and this is what I've been teaching for 25 years, which is 90% of this game is inner game. Inner game. Outer game is all that stuff you're doing. And yes, you have to still do the stuff, but that's only 10%. That's outer game. Inner game is 90%. I used to say inner game was everything, and it's almost everything. So I can't say it's everything anymore because it's not everything, but it's pretty close. All right. So again, would you rather be pounding up against your own head or working with your brain? Which one just makes more perfect sense? So that would be the example. Why is it so easy for me to lose the weight? Because think about what you're doing right now. You're saying the exact opposite of that. Why can I never lose the weight? That's exactly what you're saying. And people go, holy crap. I mean, this is why, not for nothing, but this is why we do get, so, my events or seminars, and even in coaching, we get people in tears sometimes, a lot, actually, men and women, because this has been held in for many, many years. So going back to my client, just to finish the story, she ended up losing well over 200 pounds. And she said nothing had ever worked before. She had tried everything, including hypnosis and, just everything under the sun. So, and she's kept the weight off for, well over 10 years now. So this is not like a quick fix. It's a forever fix. Because guess what? Wherever you go, there you are.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that. It's such a beautiful example of how powerful this could be for your health and of course other areas of your life. And you have the core 4 formula, which is super cool. You could do it during making coffee. It's just going to take you 4 minutes. Could
Right.
you explain how that works?
Absolutely. Core 4. All right. So good God, it's 4. Hello. I can't, I don't know why that, I keep doing that hand. Anyway, 4. There they are. Um,
You're I could still see it. Don't worry because
oh,
for
okay.
the YouTube, we could go back and forth and
Oh,
it
all right.
expands your
I'm
whole
looking at half
don't
of
worry.
me. So anyway, okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Anyway, so core 4. All right. So we humans have developed 4 modes of communication. All right. I call them the 4 modes of human communication. All right. So those are reading, writing, speaking, and listening. That's how we humans communicate. All right. So this is what you're going to do with your affirmations. By the way, again, I do teach this in my books and programs and things like that, but you can just get it right now. All right. So uh the first is reading. So you want to read your new affirmations. Like in my Millionaire Affirmations book, I give you over 300 of them. In the book of affirmations, there's over 400. So we give you I give you hundreds and hundreds of affirmations that you can read from every day. What a lot of my clients do is they, take out one of my books and they just, pick out one for the day, like, oh, you kind of open the book at random and you're like, okay, there's my affirmation for the day. But anyway, you can,
So you read that one affirmation over and over and over again for a minute
right, exactly. Or you can read, you can read however you like.
or
So you can
multiple.
read,
Yeah,
like that chapter, for example, like a chapter on
got it.
focus or a chapter on health
Understood.
and wealth, whatever. Okay, so that's reading for 1 minute. Then the second minute is writing. So like we have the Millionaire Affirmations companion journal. We have a journal that you could use, or of course you could just keep your own journal, however you want to do it, or on your phone, whatever. So you just write it down. I do recommend you write it longhand if you can, rather than with your thumbs, but however you want to do it. And just so you're writing your affirmations. Why am I so healthy? Why is it so easy for me to lose weight, etc. Okay, so you're writing for 1 minute. So reading, writing, then speaking. You want to say it out loud. Why am I so happy? Why am I so healthy? Why am I enough? Right? You say it out loud. Now you want to say it to your partner, your spouse, your kids. As I mentioned earlier, your kids love affirmations. Definitely teach your kids, your grandkids, your nieces,
Yeah.
nephews. We want to have the next generation that's affirmers. All right, so we want to have the next generation of affirmers. Make sure you do that. And that's the speaking. And then finally, listening, right? And now I believe that listening is actually the most powerful because think about this. When you're thinking a thought, what are you doing? Well, you're basically talking to yourself, right? So who's listening? You, right? So what I want to do, and I want each of you to do, is reprogram who's talking and who's listening, what you hear. So that's why I created something called Affform Audios, IAFFORM, Affform. You can get all this on our website. But basically, we have Affform Audios for ultimate health, ultimate wealth, ultimate love, relationships, sleeping better, less stress, etc. And you want to reprogram your subconscious thought patterns while you're not even paying attention. That's what Affform Audios do. So you can, of course, you can record your own voice on your phone and just listen, or you have the Affform Audios, which are done for you. They're 101 of my favorite affirmations. So we have lots and lots of resources for you on the website. But the point is that reading, writing, speaking, and listening, that can literally take you, well, I call it less than 5 minutes. It's a core 4, but I give you a few seconds in between. But the reason that I do that is for one very simple reason, because what's the number one excuse that everybody has today? I'm too busy. I don't have the time.
Yeah.
So if you don't have 5 minutes to change your life, then you don't want it that bad.
Yeah. So true. So true.
So there it is. I
That's
just
so good.
eliminated your excuses and you're welcome.
I love it. The core 4, so good. And I encourage everybody to get started with that right
Yeah.
now. Another topic
Mhm.
that I did want to address is this. A lot of people listen to the show, they hear about this supplement, this biohacking
Yep.
device, and the mindset is, I can't afford that. There's no way I could get healthy because
Mhm.
I'm not rich. I can't afford that. And then there's a stigma around money and the money mindset. So I'd love for you to break that stigma and share why it's important to be financially independent and how do we get that head trash about financial lack out of our brains and
Well,
bodies.
you're absolutely right. That is a huge, huge head trash. In fact, that's why I wrote this book called "Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money." And by the way, your
Exactly.
viewers, your listeners can get this for free at sendmeabooknoah.com. Very easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com, and I will send you a book. It's free. We just ask you to cover the shipping. So anyway,
Perfect.
that's literally why. Because 83% of people who come to me say their number one issue is money. Worry, issue, concern, problem, whatever, pain. Right? What symptom? Like I talked about earlier. Right? It's a symptom. And so as I mentioned earlier, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. And so I know what it's like to be poor. And I will tell you, it sucks. There's just nothing good about it. I mean, I've been, at this point, I've almost been well off more than I was poor, but not really. I was still, in terms of years of my life, I was still poor for more years, up until like 30. So, I got, anyway, about 25 of good or okay anyway. So, my point is that there's nothing good about it, about poverty, right? And think about this, people say, well, why should I have when so many don't have? Why should I have abundance, let's say, or more? Why should I have more when so many people have less? And I say, first of all, that's very loving of you. That's awesome. You're such a caring person. That's wonderful. But let me give you an analogy or an example. Imagine if you're walking down the street one day and all of a sudden you hear help, 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 right? And you look down and there's somebody just fell at the bottom of a well and they're trapped down there. Now, would it serve them if you jump down the well with them? Not,
Nope.
no. I mean, now there's two people going help, help, right? Why don't you throw
Right.
them a rope and bring them up? And so a minister friend of mine said to me years ago, I mean, it was speaking the whole congregation, but he basically said to us, he said, the best way to help the poor is not to be one. And I agree with that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not that we're taking so that other people have less. That's not the point at all. And that's not how money works anyway. So you talk
Mm-mm.
about head trash. I don't think there's any area that people have more head trash than money, with health and weight loss being a close second. So
I
that's why I love
agree.
talking about this, well, both of these topics. But again, so the point is that there's so much head trash about this thing called money, this topic. And again, what is so sad really is that many, or if not most of the people who have this head trash are very loving, caring, spiritual people. And that's, one of their concerns is, how can I be a spiritual person and be rich? Because rich people are just jerky, bad, selfish, greedy sons of bitches, right? And that's
Hmm.
that's what we see in the media. That's all we see, right? And greed and all this awful
Yeah.
stuff. That's not true.
Movies and TV shows programmed
Exactly.
us. Yep.
All that, in the media, it shows rich people are just these really awful people, but that's not true. I'll give you a quick story to illustrate. Okay. I bought a house when I moved here to Ohio. I met my beautiful wife, Babette. We bought a house in 2011. And it was, nice, just a middle class, upper middle class neighborhood here in Northeast Ohio. Well, when we moved in, guess what happened with our neighbors? Guess what kind of a welcome we got? We got nothing, zero, nothing. I mean, it was like, who cares, right? I mean, literally just Zippo, nothing. So last year, in 2021, I bought this beautiful house. It's a 6,000 square foot mansion on a hill, which our clients lovingly call Success Manor, which is the house that Success built, you could say. So when we moved here to, like, this is like the Bel Air of Northeast Ohio. When we moved here, we got like flowers and cakes and cookies and just such an incredible welcome from our neighbors, our new neighbors. So I said to my wife, I'm like, rich people are really nice. They get a bad rap. These are all rich people. I'm like, they treated us like one of them. They're like, this is nice. So hello, rich people don't have to be jerks. There's a lot of nice ones.
It's true. Yeah, no, it's so true. And you're right. Abundance, that word abundance,
Yeah,
there's never a lack of
that's right.
abundance. There's a great quote. I forgot who said it, but from abundance, they took abundance, and what remained was abundance, right? It's like abundance is our birthright. And income is very important to be financially free, because praying for people in other countries it's great, and sending love to people is great, but that isn't buy medicine. That doesn't get things to countries, and money is what gets
That's right.
people well in
That's
other
right.
countries. Money is what charities, and it's
That's
like,
right.
if you are a great person, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Would you say that money is a uh, multiplier? Meaning, if somebody is an a hole, is an sob, and they get rich, it will just make them more of that, versus somebody who's really good and really authentic and giving, it'll just make them more of that. Is money a multiplier in
Yes,
that
I
way?
call it money is a magnifying glass. That's how I say it.
There you go.
Money's a magnifying glass.
Even
So
better.
yes, whatever you are, when you add money, you just are more of that. So yeah, if you're a poor jerk, you get money, you'll be a rich jerk, only jerkier. If you're, a nice person who doesn't have money, and you get money, you'll be a nice person, only nicer. right? I mean, because you can now, it's like, oh wow, money, yay! Now I can serve more, serve my community. I can support different causes and so forth. I mean, which I just couldn't do when I didn't have money, right? So of course, it's a
Right.
magnifying glass. So what I love to say also is money doesn't change anything; it reveals everything. Money doesn't change
That's good.
anything; it reveals everything. It just reveals who you already are. All right, so I would just remind people or tell them that whatever you are, make some money, get some money, and you'll just be more of that. So if you're nice, you'll just be really nicer, and then we'll want to be around you even more.
I love that. That's really good. Money doesn't change anything; it reveals
That's right.
everything. That is so
Yeah.
true. So hopefully we've paradigm shift for so many people listening. Like they're going to be healthy, they're going to be
Yes.
wealthy. And you said 17 books is how many books you've
Yep.
read?
My 18th is coming out next year, so yeah.
That's your nonstop
Yeah.
17, 18 books in 25, 26
Yeah.
years. That's
Thank you.
incredible. Where else can they get your books? You mentioned that free book, which is sendmeabooknoah.com. But what other resources can you share for the
If you
audience?
just go to our main website, which is my name, noahstjohn.com, NOAHSTJOHN, just like it sounds, noahstjohn.com. We have lots of free resources. You can get, in fact, if you go to, here's another one, freegiftfromnoah.com. How's that? Free gift from Noah, easy to remember. You can get a report on how I help my coaching clients, how I help my clients make more in 12 weeks than they made in the last 12 months. So for those folks who want to make some more money, why not? So what we love to do is not only help people make more money, which is awesome, but also condense time, right? Because isn't time is the one thing that we're all fighting that we will never win, right? In the game of
Yeah,
life, Father Time is undefeated, right? And that's
that's
never going to
true.
change. So
Yeah.
we love to not only help people make money, which we help people make 6, 7, 8 figures, but literally get their lives back. Literally 1 to 3 hours a day and 4 to 8 weeks per year. So we have a free training on that. And all of our books on the website at noahstjohn.com, the iForm audios I was just talking about. So we just have tons of resources, and and by the way, for everybody listening and watching, please, if you want to get in touch with me, there's a contact form on the website. Let me know you heard about me on this program, on Ben's program, because I promise we'll take great, great care of you.
I love it. I love it. So we'll put all of your information down below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, including we'll put your social media as well. I heard you had over 300 domains. Is that true?
I'm down to 283 now. I cut a few out. So,
You're down. You're down.
yeah,
Okay,
I
only
trimmed them down a little
283.
bit.
Yeah. Last question for
Yeah.
you. I'm a big fan of this vitamin, Noah. It's I believe, the strongest vitamin in the world. Research is clear when you take it. Anti-inflammatory, puts you in this really calm, amazing parasympathetic state called vitamin G, which is vitamin
Mm.
gratitude. So, what are you grateful for today, Noah?
I'm grateful for this conversation. I really am. I'm grateful and humbled, honored that you have been following me, to have this conversation with you and to be able to spread my message, to your fans, your tribe. My mission is, as I stated, to raise the consciousness of humanity one question at a time. And so today, Ben, you've helped me accomplish my mission. So I'm truly grateful for you, for this conversation, and of course for everybody that this message is going to touch.
I love it. I love the mission too, and I'm looking forward to your next book that's going to come out. And I will have a round two conversation. Noah, thank you. I acknowledge you for the work you've been doing to serve humanity, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for
My
today.
pleasure.